Welcome back, my fellow game developers, to a brand new video. And in this one, as you can see, we've created a little flying freaking demon. But this time he is not very brave, he is a bit cowardly, so he starts running away when we get close. So now I walk around, I get close, and as you can see, he starts running away and throwing his poop at us, I think, or dirt, or I don't know what that is. So as you can see, we try to shoot him, we try to get close. Obviously he's stuck by the wall, but you can see that when we approach from a different direction, still he's stuck on the wall, but no worries about that. You see that he is running away from us. So let's not waste any more time and let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I've created 4 more enemies: the cowardly flying eye, the goblin wanderer 1. I don't know why it's goblin wanderer 1, but anyways, that's his name. And of course we have the skeleton, and finally we have the patrolling mushroom. So we are going to be using all of these in every single video, and as I've said, I don't want to go through the process of doing this with you. All I did is I just duplicated the skeleton, changed the body sprite, changed the animator, the animation, and all of that. I also made sure to change in here the animation and so on and so forth. So now they all chase us and do the same. But what we're going to do is we're going to remove the cowardly or the goblin wanderer, the patrolling mushroom, and the skeleton enemy, and we're just going to keep the cowardly flying eye, and this is what we'll use to create our cowardly enemy. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and open up the control. Oh, and by the way, I've also created a projectile for each one of those, so each one has his own projectile. I've created that too, but anyways, and let's open up the enemy controller in here and let's get started with a couple of codes. So the first thing that we need is we need to go up here, and we'll need to add a bit of space, and we're going to say that these are the enemies that run away. Enemies that run away. And in here I'm going to create 2 serialized fields, which are going to be a boolean for the should run away, and then another serialized field for the float run away range. So run away range. And obviously, because we want to have a certain range at which the enemy will start running away. Now there is another thing that we need to add. Because we are creating enemies that should run away, we also should know the enemies that should be chasing the player. So I'm going to again create another one in here, which is going to be the, or you know what, up here we've created something, and they made the attacker, we didn't use that yet. Player move direction, player to chase, player chase range. Okay, so in here I'm going to create this and have the enemies that chase player, enemies that chase the player. And in here I'm also going to create a serialized field for the boolean, which is going to be the should chase player. There we go. So now we have the option to choose one of these two, and let's see what we need to do. Before we continue on, we need to add this should chase player condition. So where do we add it? First of all, we need to add it obviously in when we are giving velocity. So in here, in the update, looking, animating enemy, moving towards the player. So there we go, moving towards the player. In here, we need to make sure that we are also having and we should chase the player. So in here we get the direction, which is the player to chase position minus the current position of the enemy, and then we go there and we set the is chasing. And in here, as you can see, I have redundant code. These 2 lines are exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable in here which is going to be called, so distance is a float, so we're going to create a float which is going to be the distance player enemy, and it's going to be equal to the vector distance, etc., etc. And instead of this long line, I'm going to say that it's the distance player enemy, add a bit of space, there we go, and now we double click in here, copy that, paste it in here. It's the same, right? So transform position, player to chase dot position, exactly the same. There we go. We save that. And also in here, we need to make sure that he is chasing and is the should chase player. There we go. Save that. And with that done, let's continue on and see what we have. Now in here, we already know what happens if we should be chasing the player. But what happens if we should be running away from the player? I'm going to create a separate if condition in here, which is going to say that if we should be running away, or we should run away, and where is it? And the distance player enemy is less than the runaway range, so the player is in range, then we are going to create the direction to move in. But this time, instead of getting the direction from the player to chase position to the transform position, what we'll do is we'll set the transform dot position minus the player to chase dot, where is it? Player to chase, player to chase dot position. So what this will do is it will create the same direction to move in, but in the opposite way. So this will be negative. So instead of moving towards the player, we are going to be moving away from the player. So we're going to save that. We are going to go back into our game and let's see what we have in here. So we need to change a couple of things. So we need to make sure that any day now. And the new update of Unity is very, very annoying. I've noticed so many mistakes, so many glitches in it. I've had many crashes. So if you can download a better version than the 2020.3.15 F2 or whatever it is, make sure you do that, because I'm not liking this version. I mean, look how slow it is. Anyways, first of all, the is chasing, we need to make it private because I don't want to be seeing it all the time. We don't need to change it. Private. And the melee attacker, you know what, because we won't be implementing it in this area, in this part of the course, let's just remove it, just so we have a bit more space in here. So in here we can choose to chase the player, and if not, we need to make sure that we should run away. And what is the runaway range? Well, I'm going to issue you a challenge so that we know what the runaway range is, and that is to create a blue circle around the enemy, or whatever you want. So find the on draw gizmos. In it, create a condition for the enemy that should be running away, and choose the blue color or any color that you want. And draw obviously a sphere, and as an extra challenge, make sure that we do not draw any unnecessary circles. So create also a condition for the chase range, for example. We don't want to see it if we are not chasing the player. So with that said, pause the video right now and go do the challenge. Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to scroll down in here. Also, melee attacker. Melee attacker was actually being used in here. Okay, no worries about that. We will remove this, save that. Okay, so back down here on the on draw gizmos. So in here we can see that we get the player chase range. So if we should chase player, then we are going to, of course, choose these two and put them inside. The player keep chase, this is also something that should be inside of the player chase range, or I mean in the should chase player. There we go. If the shooting range, okay, for that let's keep it as it is. And finally we're going to create an if statement in here, which will say if we should run away, then we are going to get the gizmos dot color, and it's going to be equal to color also. We are already using blue, so let's use and yellow, red, green. Okay, green. So there we go, green. And we're going to copy this line in here because it's almost the same, except for the not the shooting range, the runaway range. Save that, remove the extra spaces in here, and now we have a way to measure the distance that we are going to be running away with. Okay, so there we go. We have the blue range, which is the one for the shooting. Okay, great. And then we have the runaway range. So, okay, so when the player gets in this range, the enemy should start running away. So let's run the game and let's see how that works. So now we are in the game. We come close to the enemy. There we go. You can see that he is running away from us. If I try to move faster, he starts moving. Well, that's because he is slow. Obviously, we are going to make him a bit maybe faster because he's a flying enemy. So now when I try to come close, he keeps getting away. So hey, well, and he even killed us because as we are chasing him, he is throwing projectile on us. And also one thing I forgot to mention, I changed the fire position. Nope, it's still the same place. I'm going to make it on top of his head, or maybe, you know what, let's just keep it where it was. I think that was good. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you understood what is happening in here, because where is it? Okay, so if we should run away, instead of, we have the player position bigger than the transform position, or at least not just bigger, it's on the other direction. If we choose to remove the transform position from the player to chase position, we get a positive, so we are moving towards the player. If we remove our position from the player's position, then we are moving away from the player. So with that done, I hope you enjoyed, and in the next video we will be creating the Wanderer. So I'll see you then. And don't forget, of course, to commit your changes every single time.